with additional information regarding the lawsuit against Vince McMahon and more. This is Wrestling Rambles. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report. Before we move on, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Rambles with notifications on, and don't forget to like the video. Recalling his initial reaction to being repackaged as Max Dupri in WWE, LA Knight told ESPN, "I thought they were ribbing me." I'm like, what? They were like, "Yeah, you used to be a model, but now you have an agency." And I'm like, F is this? It took a left turn of silliness, and I was just like, this is not at all what we had talked about or discussed. And I don't know whether that was on the wrestlers or what, but then I'm just like, I'm trying to keep it in a serious vein so we can move up the card. I mean, there's a certain point where you get pigeonholed into just comedy and you're stuck. You hit the ceiling pretty quick. I don't want to be stuck there. If it's all comedy from start to finish, God, you're dead. Touching on the health of AEW star Rey Fenix, the Wrestling Observer newsletter noted, even though Rey Fenix was on television with Penta last week, he's pretty banged up and not expected back that soon. Talking about The Rock now being a part of the TKO board of directors, Bobby Lashley said this to WrestleBinge. That TKO announcement was incredible. I mean, it's The Rock, probably one of the biggest names in everything right now. So when he comes back, that always brings a tremendous amount of views. You know what? Anybody that wants to take a step to that next level, take him out. If he comes in and I have an opportunity to throw him out, I will throw him out. Anything that he has, you have the ability to take from him if you take him out. So, I mean, it's not going to be a cakewalk for him. Responding to the idea that he stole Bobby Lashley's finishing maneuver, Moose told Chris Van Vliet, "If you look at the footage of when I started doing the spear, the flipping spear, I started that in Ring of Honor in 2014, and by God, it was a reckless spear. I didn't make the spear up. Everything is stolen in wrestling. They, TNA, told me to meet him, Bobby, our champion, top guy. He is doing the spear. Can you think of something else?" I was like, oh yeah, easy. One of my favorite wrestlers at the time was Okada. That's the Rainmaker. So I did a variation of his move, which I still do sometimes. Revealing the reaction to the Netflix deal for Raw, WWE President Nick Khan said this on the Pat McAfee show. "Once the Smackdown deal closed, we hyper-focused on Raw. It was a robust marketplace. We had a number of meetings, there was a lot of interest, there were a number of offers. At the end of the day, to be the first movers with Netflix Live on a consistent basis. I saw the Chris Rock special in the reality after show, and they're doing the Golf Pro-Am, which is all great programming, but 52 weeks a year, we're turnkey. The fact that they could come to us and say, we strike a deal and you guys do all the rest, is something they like and certainly something we thought was in our direct wheelhouse. It came together over the matter of a couple of months and we think it's a great deal." As Smackdown will be moving from Fox to the USA Network, this was said regarding what day the program will air on, as Dave Meltzer noted in the Wrestling Observer newsletter. WWE officials told us that while the days of the week are not locked in, that they are working right now with the idea of Smackdown remaining on Friday on USA. Speaking about his time as a member of the Hurt Business faction in WWE, Shelton Benjamin said this on the Kurt Angle Show. "The rise of the Hurt Business at that time in my career when I was extremely frustrated. It came in as a breath of fresh air. The fact that it was getting over despite not having a crowd. The reactions from all fans. Obviously, there were a lot of early comparisons of us to the APA, and we were like, we made it a point, we're never going to mention our race. We shouldn't have to. You can look at us and see what we are. That's not what matters here. We are a kick-ass professional team. We look good, we dress good, we get the job done. Yeah, we're black. But we don't need to tell you that. I think because of that, we didn't alienate any fans by trying to create a race card with it. The only thing that mattered to the Hurt business was green. Of course, representation accounts for a lot, and for our black fans and people of color, we were getting so much extra love because of how we were representing ourselves. We didn't sing or dance, we weren't comical. We took that very seriously, and we all take a lot of pride in being able to represent people of color in such a positive light. Also, doing it without having to beat people over the head without race. It doesn't matter. I had spoken to Eddie Guerrero years ago because even back then, there were some racial things that I didn't know how to navigate. He said to me, "You're not a black superstar. You're a superstar who just happens to be black." Approach it from that aspect. That being said, we still recognize we have a certain effect on our community. We had fun with it. It ended way too soon, and then the reunion teases and all that stuff. Every week we were like, why? No one could tell us why. The boss made the decision. Why? No one. To this day has been able to explain to us. It was definitely a vehicle for Bobby, and I take great pride in being a part of that. Breaking it up, I still think that was the easiest layup in pro wrestling. They just wouldn't take the shot. Making an announcement, TNA Wrestling wrote on X, breaking, Xplosion is back with 2 new matches every week and exclusive segments like Around the Ring. Episodes will premiere first for subscribers on TNA Plus every Friday, becoming available for free on YouTube on Tuesdays. During an interview with Uproxx, Bayley said this about the role she plays in her faction and in WWE as a whole. "I've done a lot up until this point. With Damage CTRL, I feel like I'm on a different level than everybody else, even the women that I came up with, because it comes with a different responsibility. Bringing up Dakota, bringing up girls and vouching for them, it's a different type of responsibility than just having to worry about yourself. The fact that I've been able to do that successfully, and add to that EO is the champion right now, just puts me on a different level. I think this year is going to solidify who I am and what I've brought to the industry and to the company, whether it's women in NXT right now or whether it's someone backstage like an Indy Hartwell or Candice LeRae that isn't getting that TV time that can be main event superstars. I think that is one of my main purposes here." Mourning a loss on social media, Taya Valkyrie wrote on X, "At a loss for words right now. Rest in peace, Masumi Max. She was one of my dancers who performed with me during my entrance at AEW Double or Nothing this past year. Your style, uniqueness, kindness, and creativity will live on forever through your work. Rest in peace, Angel." Giving the latest information on what is to come for Trinity Fatu, known to WWE fans as Naomi, Fightful Select reported that those we spoke to in TNA said that Naomi indicated that she was going back to WWE before she left and had mentioned the Royal Rumble. Speaking of possible returns to WWE, this was said regarding Mercedes Mone, formerly known as Sasha Banks, coming back to the company for the Royal Rumble. As Sean Ross Napa Fightful said, "When we asked a WWE source about the possibility of Mercedes Mone in the Royal Rumble, one said, 'Well, we're not really interested in contract tampering with her, so I doubt it.'" Staying on the topic of Mercedes Mone, it is believed that she will be making her debut for All Elite Wrestling in the near future, with Dave Meltzer saying this in the Wrestling Observer newsletter. Mone was doing acting work, but there is talk her debut will be played up extremely big, and that announcement could be soon. She has been back training to return to the ring. Her coming to AEW was expected for months, even before they showed her at Wembley. But she did negotiate with WWE after that, and while they were far apart on money, unless the contract is signed, nothing is a lock. For an update on the WrestleMania 40 lineup, Justin Barrasso of SI.com wrote, "I reported spoilers for Sports Illustrated yesterday regarding the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania 40. I reported what was detailed to me by previously reliable sources. It appears this was a deliberate attempt at misinformation, or misinformation that is being spread through WWE itself. I apologize for the errors in yesterday's report. When posting these reports, the entirety of the information needs to be accurate. I am not offering a spoiler, but enthused speculation and analysis are that all signs point to Rhodes winning the Rumble. There is, however, some uncertainty with The Rock involved, as a star of his magnitude wields massive leverage and works off his own terms. If you were to tell WWE President Nick Khan he wants to win the Rumble, then that could change plans. But that is not expected, especially with the new possibility that Reigns' Rock could be extended to a time when it airs globally on Netflix. All signs also point to Rhodes finishing his story on the second night of WrestleMania. That is a story that has been told in exceptional fashion since Rhodes returned to WWE in 2022, and it is one that would be perfect for the main event of WrestleMania 40. While there has been speculation that Rhodes has not signed a new contract with WWE, there are multiple people within the company who believe he already has. A great indicator that Rhodes has already signed a new deal is if he wins the Rumble, which will set up a date against Reigns at WrestleMania. Taking to X, AEW star Anthony Bowens revealed this, writing, "Hello AEW fans, I've been nominated for Sports Hero of the Year. If you love the Bang Bang Scissor Gang, you can cast your vote for me in the link below." Giving praise to Shawn Michaels for his work overseeing NXT, Cody Rhodes told ESPN, "Maybe one of the hardest things to do in all of sports and entertainment is to get a show that maybe lost its cool and get it to be cool again. Shawn Michaels has done that, and he's done it also while developing all these relationships with these young kids who were going to have Shawn Michaels as the first booker they dealt with. Somebody who helped them with promos, somebody who helped them in their matches. It's almost laughable if you say it, because every one of those kids should come out being the best wrestler of all time, the best superstar of all time, just because it's Shawn Michaels. I think history is going to be very kind to Shawn, not just as one of the greatest to ever do it, a Hall of Famer and all those things, but he took a show that respectfully had kind of lost some of its shine, and he has absolutely brought it back to where it's doing great numbers. We're seeing a little crossover. It was a very fun experience for me to be in his house on that night. It was very special." Speaking about potentially relinquishing his Intercontinental title if he ends up winning the world title in WWE, Gunther said this to Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful, "There is a point to the challenge of defending both. I haven't really thought about it. It's a decision that has to be made. I have to start thinking. It's a sensible topic. On one hand, the challenge is very interesting. On the other hand, I don't know if it does the title justice if it's a side project. We will see." Going over his desire to bring Jacob Fatu to WWE, Booker T noted on his Hall of Fame podcast, "That's my game plan. I'm working as hard as I possibly can. Let me just say it right now. I'm giving a big shout out to Jacob Fatu. This is a guy who's been working his ass off out there on the indie scene, grinding. The thing is, sometimes we make mistakes, but when we atone for those mistakes, that's when somebody just needs to give you a chance, and for me, someone gave me a chance, and look what it's done for me. Someone needs to give Jacob Fatu a chance, and I'm going to be working in his corner as his advisor to get him all the way to that next level, and over it if we possibly can. Jacob, if you're listening to this, just stick with me on this ride." Talking about Ronda Rousey making appearances for Ring of Honor previously with Marina Shafir, Shayna Baszler told Denise Salcedo, "One thing, love or hate Ronda, as a person who knows her probably more than anyone besides her husband, one thing she is very loyal to her friends. She will do anything for them, and we started this pro wrestling journey together, all four of us. And so I know she wants to take some time off. She doesn't know if she's going to wrestle again. Before all that is completely door shut, I know she wanted to just have a match with Marina. As far as where that happened and how it took place, it wasn't the where. It was just the match with Marina. Being that Marina's been very successful on her own, it had to take place on only these venues. But that was really what it was about. I don't think Ronda too much cares about whether it's indie or not indie or what show. She just wanted to have a match with her friends. So that's what that was. That was Ronda being the friend she is. Noting how he got in touch with those at New Japan Pro Wrestling prior to his debut for the promotion, former WWE star Nic Nemeth said this on Talk is Jericho. A couple of years ago, I'm not close friends with a lot of people, but a long time ago when Shinsuke came up from NXT, at the time I was doing the thing where everybody who shows up wrestles me. I didn't really know him. I didn't really watch Japanese wrestling. I don't watch our wrestling. I famously don't watch wrestling. I hate everything because I was in a bad place. But I love my job and doing what I do. After WrestleMania, Shinsuke comes up to the main roster, does whatever he does, and we're overseas. Him and I had to stay and do the dark match after TV, and everyone else went on. We're sitting next to each other. We put a couple of matches together. I'm not really outspoken. I'd requested a bottle of Jackfire whiskey, and we had that for the ride. You want a sip? We just start talking. We had a couple of whiskeys, and we were buddies. It was so great because he's the biggest sweetheart in the world. We had a good bond. I liked wrestling with him. A long time ago, every time my contract comes up, I'm like, I'm going to get out of here. I have nothing left to do. I'm kind of sitting on the bench, break in case of emergency when someone is having a world title match or something. Shinsuke goes, if you ever get out of here, I have some connections and I would like to help you out. That's so cool. I don't know anybody. Clarifying a report that had been going around regarding former AEW World Champion MJF and President of AEW Tony Khan, Fightful Select reported that there were untrue rumors that picked up saying that MJF and Tony Khan had a falling out this past week. MJF is still recovering from injuries and, barring some catastrophic miracle, won't be in the WWE Royal Rumble. Given the details on an accusation against Vince McMahon, it looks as though Slim Jim will not be working with WWE for the foreseeable future. As they told Post Wrestling, Slim Jim places a high value on integrity and respect in all our partnerships. In light of the recent troubling allegations against Vince McMahon, we have decided to temporarily halt our promotional activities with WWE. This decision reflects our commitment to our brand values and our responsibility to our community. We will closely monitor the situation and make future engagement decisions based on our values and what is in the best interest of our brand. Staying on the topic of the sex trafficking lawsuit against Vince McMahon, Ringside News wrote that the accuser and former WWE employee Janel Grant's lawyer, Ann Callis, recently appeared on Law and Crime to discuss the lawsuit. During the interview, Ann was asked why did Janel continue to remain in such a relationship, to which she replied that Ann felt caged by Vince. There is a thing called trauma bonding that people who haven't studied it, I have just read articles, I'm not a psychiatrist or psychologist, but an attorney. She literally felt caged and imprisoned by Vince McMahon. The escalation of the degrading things that happened to her, it's important for it to come out. These are facts. These are allegations that we hope to be proven to be true. They are true, she said. And also explained that Grant wants to help other victims who have been in similar situations to come forward. She wants her life back. She wants ownership of her story. She wants to help other victims. This is relatively close in time, 2019 when this unfolded, 2020, and her hope is to help other victims if there are other victims to come forward because she had the courage and presence of mind to finally get this done and come forward. Callis further explained that the incident has left Janel mentally destroyed and is trying to recover from the trauma sustained. What happened to her and what was alleged left her physically and mentally absolutely destroyed. She is trying to recover and she believes this is the first step. Filing this lawsuit took such tremendous courage from her. She was in an extremely vulnerable position when she first encountered Vince McMahon. Her parents had passed. She was the primary caregiver for her parents. Besides being an inordinary playing field between Vince McMahon and Janela, she still tried to conduct herself, tried to be the best possible employee employee for the WWE that she could be under the most devastating and sexually depraved circumstances. Callis went into details about how Vince and John Laurinaitis cornered Janel in Laurinaitis' office and sexually assaulted her. It is disturbing. What happened to her is disturbing. I believe it was in Laurinaitis' office that they locked. She was sexually assaulted. We are claiming the WWE headquarters under the nose of the executives and the employees. When asked if she believes there are other victims, Callis stated that she thinks there could be other victims out there. Whether they worked in the company or not, yes, the belief is there are other victims out there. Just the way the grooming of Janel went on, it indicates that. There are a lot of indicators that there may be, and probably are, other victims out there. One of Janel's hopes is that by coming forward, she will give the courage of other victims to come forward too. Callis then mentioned that there are other evidences and text messages that prove that she was being trafficked, and they are building the evidence pool. We have her first-hand testimony, gathering all the evidence. Are there other text messages out there? Yes. This was just the complaint. Now we are building the pool of evidence that we will present to a jury. Callis also mentioned that TKO have not reached out to her, but Janel was fine that they acknowledged what happened to her was horrific. I believe we were, at least Janel, was fine that they did acknowledge what happened to her was horrific. Callis finally read a statement given to her by Janel Grant. She hopes any doors of secrecy have been blown off their hinges and that fresh air fills the headquarters. She hopes those at the company, past and present, who fear speaking out about harm is a thing of the past. She wishes everyone peace. And following the latest on these allegations and lawsuits, Vince McMahon has stepped down from TKO, as WWE President Nic Khan said in an email to staff. I wanted to apprise you of Vince McMahon's decision to tender his resignation from his positions as the executive chairman of TKO and as a member of the TKO board of directors. He will no longer hold any responsibilities within TKO Group Holdings or WWE. McMahon also issued a statement. It reads, I stand by my previous statement that Ms. Grant's lawsuit is riddled with falsehoods, fabricated incidents that never transpired, and represents a malicious distortion of the truth. I am resolute in my determination to defend myself against these groundless charges and am eager to clear my name. Nevertheless, out of consideration for the WWE Universe, the exceptional TKO enterprise, its dedicated board members and stakeholders, partners, constituents, and all the employees and superstars who have played a pivotal role in establishing WWE as the global leader it is today, I have chosen to step down from my executive chairmanship and vacate my position on the TKO board of directors effective immediately. And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all later.